Well, good morning, spring football fans. Happy Wednesday to you. Let's get into it. Some postseason awards. Your special teams player of the year is Kendrick Whitehead Jr. of the Michigan Panthers. Mr. Whitehead Jr. was recognized for being the Iron Man of the Panthers special teams, being on 118 snaps. That's basically almost 12 snaps a game. Now that's a lot. Okay, and the award, like most awards, were selected of league and team executive, coaches, and players from the 8 teams, as well as the broadcast partners from Fox and the Disney Network, aka ABC, and ESPN. And it was based on the performances throughout the recent 10-game regular season. He's also gotten UFL honors as, I think, first team All UFL at quarterback. He ranked 7th in tackles in the UFL. And, of course, he'll be playing in the championship game this week against my beloved DC Defenders. Your defensive player of the year, I'm going to botch this name, Peter Tuopaunu of the St. Louis Battlehawks. Again, selected by the same people that gave you your special teams player of the year, coaches, players, executives, and the broadcast partners from ABC and the Fox Network. The defense of St. Louis only averaged giving up 16.3 points a game, although that wasn't the case last week against my DC Defenders. He also had a league high, I think, 7.5 sacks. He had 3 forced fumbles. And he finished 26 tackles on the year, which is good. I mean, it's about 2.5 tackles a game, not including the postseason stuff he got last week. He had 5 tackles for losses and forced a pair of intentional groundings. So, congratulations to him, although I'm sure he would give up those awards for a conference trophy and a chance to play this week against the Panthers. And finally, your offensive player of the year, which I really disagree with, not because he's not good, because he's awesome, is Bryce Perkins, quarterback of the Michigan Panthers. Again, selected by the same people who gave you defensive and special teams player of the year. This man was the Pizza Hut offensive player of the week 3 times this year. I believe those are 3 straight weeks also. That's how dominant he was in that period. And he was the only player to win the award multiple times this year. He was also named quarterback on the All UFL team, which I also disagree with. He was 4th in passing with 1342 in yards, tied for second in touchdowns with 9, second completion percentage with 690, and second efficiency with 69%. He also had 5 rushing touchdowns among the quarterbacks in the league. Now, the reason why I disagree with this is because he missed the last 3 regular season games. A lot of it was due to the ankle injury. I get it. I mean, they want to preserve him for the playoffs, which I get, but he still missed 3 games. That's a lot of games. I'm sorry. And he was benched actually for 1 game. They started Denny Etley, and Etley got hurt on the first or second series of the game. They brought in Bryce Perkins, and as they say, there's history right there. So I don't see how you could miss just over 30% of your games and get the award. This should have gotten to Jordan Talmo. Now, yeah, I know I am a DC Defender fan also, but Jordan played all 10 games. 9.5, really, if you consider that last regular season game against the Battlehawks where they let DeLillo finish the game because there was something to play for. But listen, there is no doubt about his impact on the team this year. I mean, this is why the Michigan Panthers were a much better team this year. And you could say, oh, well, listen, and the attendance speaks for itself. The Michigan Panthers were the only team this year to have an increase in attendance. They increased the attendance by over 18,000 people from the year before. Even the Battlehawks didn't increase their attendance, nor did my DC Defenders. And listen, we get the two best quarterbacks in the league playing the championship game this weekend. And that's not a coincidence. You have good quarterback play, you will have a good league, as well as offensive line. Now let's get to the attendance. The attendance for the Birmingham Michigan game at Protective Stadium was 10,900 plus. That is actually an increase of 700 people over last year's USFL Conference game between these same two teams on the same network, ABC. The attendance for the XFL Conference Championship game was 27,500. That is a decrease of 2,500 people from last year against one of their biggest rivals in the league. Now, I've been questioning whether the novelty's over in St. Louis, but I had to remind myself, just about 2-3 weeks ago, they had the massive tornadoes in that area, which did a heck of a lot of damage. That could have been why the attendance was down. I mean, listen, when your area is destroyed by tornadoes and you're recovering, I think the last thing you want to do is go to a football game or any sporting event. I'd be interested to see if the St. Louis Cardinals attendance has dropped as a result of it too. Because if it hasn't dropped, and they play in the same area, they're only blocks away from Busch Stadium and the Dome America Center, well, then maybe it could be more on the novelty wearing off. I don't know. St. Louis fans, please chime in. Help us out here. And the ratings. The rating for the USFL Conference game was also identical to last year. 1.1 million, which peaked at 1.4 million. Between these same two teams on the same network in the same time slot as last year. And they were both pretty good games this year and last year. And ABC consistently had the highest ratings this year of any network who broadcast an XFL game. This is actually pretty encouraging that they got this rating. I think it is anyway. For the USFL Conference, XFL Conference game on the Fox Network on prime time, 837,000 people watched. It peaked at 1.5 million around the 7:30 mark. Now, this game was not nearly as good as the Michigan and Birmingham game. This game was pretty much a blowout from the start. In fact, both XFL Conference games this year and last year, St. Louis, despite being the home team, got beat up pretty bad. They were dominated. Now, interesting to note, too, that it peaked, I think, towards the end of the first half, when it was kind of still a game. The second half, they had to compete against Game 1 against the NBA Finals. And by the way, Game 1 of the NBA Finals was the lowest Game 1 since they started taking Nielsen ratings since 1988. So that tells you about the state of the NBA. I mean, it's not the same game anymore. I'm not going to get into it. NBA compared to the 80s and 90s when I grew up watching, even early 2000s, it's just not the same game anymore. But between that was a ratings killer. Anyway, folks, let me know what you think. Comments down below what your opinion like to know. We'll be back later this week with more awards. And for the love of football, we'll talk to you later.